Hey everybody, how's it going? Can't believe it's July already. More than half the year is gone already. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their 4th of July. I know it's supposed to be some crazy weather, but so far it looks like everything is good. So hopefully everybody's enjoying it. So I know I'm a little late. It's July 2nd. And I know Money in the Bank was last night. I did not watch it. Well, I shouldn't say last night. It was yesterday afternoon. I did not watch it. Was running around a lot. There was a new addition. No, it's not a baby. Got another puppy. So I'm at my third husky right now. So just sort of busy with him, trying to get him acclimated to the other two. It was my first time having two males and one female. Usually I have two females and one male. So, just work on that delicate balance where, there's no jealousy. So I didn't get to watch Money in the Bank. I actually watched it this morning. So this is not my instant reaction to it because I watched it this morning. And now it's 3:45 that I'm recording this now. So it's not my instant reaction, but my reaction nonetheless. I will admit I did fast forward through some of the events because I wasn't interested in every single thing. I do have some strong opinions on some things. And, one of the things going into this PLE was how would it stack up against Forbidden Door? And it seems like that's what we're doing now is we're seeing, how are these pay-per-views of AEW stacking up to the PLEs of WWE. And, in terms of WWE, their matches are the match count. It's shorter. You might have 8 matches or something like that. Let's see. Money in the Bank had 7 matches, where Forbidden Door had, if you take everything in totality, had 18 matches or something like that, something crazy like that. It was something in the teens. WWE usually doesn't get that high unless it's WrestleMania. We're judging crowd reactions now. And I will have to say that I think the crowd reaction in London for Money in the Bank was much more hype, much more louder, and much more invested than it was a Forbidden Door. Forbidden Door wasn't bad, but it was sort of slow. But I think the event was good. I think the matches were good. And I was intended to do a podcast on it, but I never did. But Money in the Bank, overall, it wasn't, how can I put it? Money in the Bank is not a WrestleMania. It's not a SummerSlam. It's not a Royal Rumble. I don't think it has the hype that it had when the concept first came up. Okay? And I felt this event was sort of lackluster. Perfect example, the men's Money in the Bank. They threw in Logan Paul. Why did you throw in Logan Paul? Because you felt the ladder match didn't have enough star power. That's why you threw Logan Paul in there. And there was talk about Logan Paul winning. I'm going to tell you, I would have been ranting if Logan Paul won. It bothered me that they just stuck him in there because it reminds me of when Brock Lesnar won the Money in the Bank, that everybody's killed themselves, everybody's doing the match, everybody's contributing, and then this motherfucker comes in the last 2 minutes of the fucking match, bulldozes everybody, a poor cameraman gets taken out by one of the ladders that Brock pushes, knocks whoever was on top, I think it was Mustafa Ali, knocks him off the thing, climbs up, and just takes the briefcase. And to me, that was just complete bullshit and insulting to the other competitors. Now I know they say, well, you don't understand the big picture, Brock's a big star, all that kind of crap. Sorry, I call bullshit on that. And that's sort of how I felt with Logan if they allowed him to win. But thankfully they didn't. But I'm going to start in the order of how the show went, rather than the big surprise we got at the end. So the men's Money in the Bank ladder match I did watch in its totality, and it was okay. I think some people say it was really great. Now, my picks for that was either LA Knight or Damien Priest, because out of that group, those were the only two logical choices. I felt Damien Priest had the edge because of the body of work that he has done. And he had been getting a lot of praise and recognition, especially with his work with Bad Bunny going to that tag match at WrestleMania, I think either last year or the year before that. So Damien was getting a lot. The trouble with me and Damien is that I have a hard time seeing, okay, is he going to be a heel? Is he going to be a baby face? You know, even when he was a baby face, I felt he never really had that support from the fans. And while he's a heel, yes, he'll get some boos, but I can't tell if the fans are really into him. So that's where I sort of question, like, okay, he has the briefcase now. Yeah, how's this going to work? He's not cashing in on Roman. Okay, we know who he's cashing in on. He's cashing in on the world title, whoever that holder is going to be. LA Knight. WWE should have called an audible and allowed LA Knight to win the fucking briefcase. And this is the stuff that drove fans crazy. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Triple H wanted LA Knight to win. And I'm going to say that it was Vince who said, no, Damien's going to win. Because LA Knight has already talked about it. LA Knight has the stench of his age. That his age was a concern, and that's why he got stuck in that management role when he got called up to the main roster. There's only one person who cares about the age, and that is Vince. Now you can say, well, hey, that's not fair, because look at AJ, look at Cena. They're in their 40s, and look what they're doing. Now, granted, John Cena is not looking to become the champion again. Okay? But AJ is 46 years old. AJ was in his 40s when he held the WWE Championship. When did AJ go into WWE? AJ went in what? He got there in 20... Did AJ come in 2016? Did he go to WWE in 2016? Let's see. I can tell you right now. Because he showed up at the Royal Rumble. And then he was in Independence for a while. He was in New Japan during that time. So, yeah. AJ came in at in 2016. So he came in 2023. What year was he born? He was born in 77. So 39, right? My math is right. 39. I should be able to count. I should be able to do that math in my head, right? So he came in at 39, okay? And he won the WWE Championship twice, I believe. So age shouldn't have anything to do with it. But again, you can say it's not fair. But Vince saw something in AJ Styles that maybe he doesn't see in LA Knight. But the fact that LA Knight is in his 40s, I don't know if he's actually exactly 40 or 42, but we know he's in his 40s. And that shouldn't be a problem. And this is the thing that drove us crazy as fans, because listen to the reaction that he was getting. First of all, when he first came out, they erupted. And any time he got into the ring and did something, they erupted. And then the tease of the two of them back and forth, they erupted again. And they did the same thing for guys like Cesaro, guys like Ryback, John Morrison back in the day. And that's what was frustrating, because Vince is saying, well, he's not connecting with the audiences. But are we not hearing? Are we losing our hearing? If the crowd is going crazy, it's like with Daniel Bryan. The crowd is going, yes, yes, yes. The crowd is going nuts when Cesaro does the swing. They love Cesaro. They're chanting for Cesaro. But yet you're saying he's not connecting? So is that going to be the excuse for LA Knight? Yeah, that's just the one crowd, but he's not connecting everywhere else. What? What? And I'm worried that this was LA Knight's only chance to get this done, to get an opportunity. Now, I did read some of the comments, and a lot of them were saying that there was no way that LA Knight was going to win, nor should he have won, because they portrayed him to be a joke and he loses too much. LA Knight is not the first person to go through that, to be treated like a joke and then become champion and have a somewhat decent run. He is not the first person to go through something like that, okay? A la The Miz. Miz came in, they didn't like him. He did the reality star thing. Then he was doing like the dirt sheet with John Morrison, all the goofy shit. And then what happened? They gave him more of a serious edge. He ended up winning Money in the Bank. He ended up cashing in against Randy Orton. He ended up main eventing WrestleMania with John Cena. Okay, now he's sort of back to being the joke. Temporarily got the WWE Championship back, which, okay, that was a bit of a joke what they did. And then Bobby Lashley took it for him. Okay, so it's happened to The Miz. Okay, I would even say Kurt Angle. When Kurt Angle first started, and listen to Kurt Angle's podcast, he said the same thing. He was made to be the dorky guy, okay? And he lost, a good amount of times with The Rock and Austin and all that kind of stuff. Did he get big wins? Yes. But for the most part, he will tell you he lost a lot. He was the dweeb. He was dorky. And then what happened? Vince said, I want you to get more serious. And then we got the wrestling machine. And then we never saw the goofy Angle again. So that idea is not fair. Okay? I'll even say Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt lost all the time. He became champion. He didn't hold it that long, but they still made him champion. So I don't subscribe to that fact that while I hate that they do it, that it's impossible for them to be taken seriously because that switch can be flipped. But now my fear is, yes, they will now throw LA Knight more into that obscurity and more into that role of I'm a big talker, but I can't back it up and I'm going to lose all the time. I feel they're going to bury him more because Vince is not seeing, because there's already complaints that Vince is sticking his hands in creative. And one example was the Monday Night Raw, I think it was last week, when Finn Balor attacked Seth Rollins. And it was supposed to be an open challenge match instead. I like the angle that they shot. And nobody disagreed with that. Okay, that was a good call by Vince. But the problem is that Triple H and team have worked on long-term storytelling. And people who they want to elevate, like they want to elevate Butch. But now if Vince is changing it, that makes it more difficult now. So who's to say that the plan wasn't for LA Knight? And I'm sure Triple H doesn't want LA Knight to lose that momentum. So will we let LA Knight win the Royal Rumble? Will we let, will LA Knight win Money in the Bank next year? Are we going to try to do something to keep LA Knight hot? Or are we just going to let him fall through the cracks? That's what I'm concerned about. An audible should have been called and let LA Knight hold that title, hold that briefcase. And I'm telling you, him and Seth would have a great match. But that's not the way it went. And, Damien, too, is not young. Well, how can I put it? In the wrestling realm. Well, how can I put it? Because, like in baseball, when you're 32, 33, you're considered old. I don't know if it's fair to say that in wrestling because, a lot of these guys, it's weird, hit their prime in like their late 30s and 40s. Okay, so Damian Priest is 40, so there you go. Okay, let's see how old LA Knight is. Oh, so they're both 40. But for some reason, more of the concern was put on LA Knight's age. But he's 40. Now, maybe because, we heard when Edge came back, Vince was happy because Edge looked so old. I mean, maybe he feels LA Knight looks older than what he really is. But Damien is 40. So why are we treating LA Knight, and why was the concern of LA Knight's age brought up, but not Damien Priest? So there's something there that Vince is not seeing with him. But nonetheless, an audible should have been called. I'm sorry, it was bullshit. Because Damien Priest, there was no eruption for him when he pulled that briefcase down. None whatsoever. But we'll see what's going to happen. You know, it looks like they're leading to the end of the Judgment Day. That might be the best, because I think the Judgment Day has now run its course. I don't know what they could do next to sort of revitalize it and pump some more juice into it. And to tell you the truth, I do think it is time, despite what I just said about Damien Priest, it probably is time for Damien Priest to break away from the Judgment Day. You know, the question is, you know, Finn's going to be okay because Finn is Finn. The question is, and Rhea's going to be okay. And let me tell you something. Rhea has already gotten off to a bad start with her title reign because you don't have enough legitimate contenders for her to face her. The question is, what's going to happen with Dom Dom? My assumption would be you would keep Rhea and Dom Dom together for now, because I think Dom might get sent back down to like NXT or something like that, because if the Judgment Day breaks up, I don't see where they fit. I mean, come on. Dom versus Cody, that was so random. Because they don't know what to do with Dom. You can't put him in an Intercontinental title picture right now. You can't put him in a United States picture right now. You're not going to put him in a championship picture right now. So what are you going to do with him? So you randomly threw him to Cody Rhodes. And you needed something to keep Cody busy until he continues his program with Brock. So, am I disappointed to see the Judgment Day go? Not really. You know, I think everybody's going to be okay, like I said, with the exception of what's going to happen with Dom Dom. But the Money in the Bank, the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, you know, it wasn't terrible. I mean, like I said, look at the people who were in there. You know, you clearly knew. I just want to get back to it. But you knew Shinsuke wasn't winning. I mean, Shinsuke's time has passed. You know, he won the Royal Rumble. I don't know what year it was. Was it 2014? I think he won. No, he won it in 20. He had to win it in 20. No, Triple H won that in 2016. Shinsuke won in 2017 because he faced AJ Styles for the championship. So I think he won it in 2017 because 2016 is when Triple H came back and won it, because that was that whole thing with him and Roman. So I think it was 2017 that Shinsuke won. And, you know, he had the 3 matches with AJ that, I'm sorry, were not good. And I would most likely say some of that had to do with Vince. And I think AJ had alluded to as much a few years ago in an interview that they had constraints put on them. I believe that was his wording. But, you know, Shinsuke time has passed. I highly doubt Shinsuke's going to get another run to be a champion. You know, Santos Escobar, I mean, he just got there. They're not strapping anything to him yet. Butch is another one that Triple H has plans for. Let's see what happens with him with Vince back in the picture. You know, Ricochet, same thing. Ricochet, I think, does have a connection with the audience. It may not be a super strong one like I think Cesaro had, but again, I see Ricochet just always staying in that mid-card level, similar to a Shelton Benjamin. Maybe he might get a title shot here or there, but to actually put it on him, I just don't see it happening with Ricochet. And then you've had, Logan Paul. And I will say, Logan Paul took a very, very nasty bump on that Spanish Fly with Ricochet. And I know they were having a hard time steadying themselves on it. Listen, Logan, I know, was not pissed because, you know, as much as I don't like Logan Paul, he does respect, you know, the business. He does respect the nature of everything. So I know he didn't like go in the back and say, "What the fuck, dude?" However, if Logan Paul had gotten hurt, because his head hit that fucking table. And even on some replays, you can sort of see Ricochet sort of hit sort of awkwardly as well. But if Logan Paul was injured, I am sorry. As much as I like Ricochet, to me, that's all on Ricochet. Because Ricochet went, they were not steady. Now, listen, obviously we couldn't hear. Logan probably said go. I don't know. But as Ricochet, in that situation, being the senior person, being the more experience, being the leader in that, he should have said no. We got to make sure we're more stable, and we got to find a plan B for us to go through this table. Because that could have ended very badly for the both of them. And I know Ricochet's foot did slip, but that's because they were not set. Those ropes were too wobbly. And, I mean, it's clear as day that fucking Logan's head bounced off that fucking table. And if I was the guys in the back, I would be coming down hard on Ricochet right now. They never should have executed that spot. They should have just, I'm telling you right now, if that was some other, really seasoned person, they would have said, no, we're going to find another way to do this. They could have untangled themselves from the rope and found a way to do it from the apron. Or just gone back to it. Instead of doing that, he could have suplexed him. He could have chokeslammed him. They could have did something different than what they did. And yes, like I said, we could not hear. None of us could hear what they were saying. They could have been talking. I'm sure they were talking to each other. And Logan probably said, go ahead, go for it. But again, Ricochet, as the seasoned person in that situation, should have called the audible and said, we are not safely stable. We are not safe. We shouldn't do it. Because that could have ended a whole lot worse. So, highly disappointed in Ricochet on that. And I am happy and thankful that both of them are okay. Triple H did say somebody got injured. I don't know who that party was. I'll Google it at the end to see who it was. But, it doesn't look like it was Logan Paul because I did see the picture that he posted of the bruising on his back. But overall, I would say the men's Money in the Bank ladder match was okay. And I would say it was probably the number 2 match of the night. Oh, God. The WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Okay. I've ranted about the women's tag team titles long enough, and I'm not going to rant this time. Fuck it, I can't help it. Why the fuck are we creating titles if we're not going to give them a fucking meaning? I'm like, okay, you put them on Shayna, you put them on Ronda. Okay, now we can make them mean something, and the team who beats them will be great. By the way, shout out to the Majin Buu, emblem on Ronda Rousey's head, only because, like I said, I just got a new husky, and I named him Gohan, and I know that's a typical name for a husky, but, I wanted to use the name Walker, like Day Walker from, I think it was Game of Thrones, but I had another husky already. When I adopted a senior husky a few years ago, I had named him Walker, but I didn't have him long because his cancer came back and I had to put him down. And in my family, the rule is we don't recycle dog names. Because we're all dog people and everybody in the family has a dog. So we don't recycle names. I thought about Tamias from Yu-Gi-Oh!, one of the legendary dragons, but I don't know. Somebody said Wolf, but I'm like, you know what? I'll just go with Gohan. So shout out to Ronda for that. But here's 2 things that annoy me. You just unified the fucking NXT Women's Tag Team Champions with this, and now you're dropping the titles. And my second issue is you took the titles off of Raquel and Liv because Liv had a shoulder injury. But Liv wasn't gone that long. So why did you go through this whole charade of taking the titles off of them, putting on Shayna and Ronda, have them go to NXT and merge and unify the titles, just to have the titles go back to Liv and Raquel? Why didn't you just let Raquel defend the titles on her own? You still could have kept Raquel around. I mean, Liv was gone for what, a month? And that's the other thing, this double standard that, oh, well, if you can't defend the title, you're going to be stripped from the title. Excuse me. Did we not let Brock Lesnar disappear for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and months and go through several pay-per-view events and PLE events without him defending the title? Bullshit, come on. Now, if Liv was going to be out for a year, I understand. If she was going to be out for 6 months, I understand. She was going to be out for 8 months, I understand. She was gone for a month. And she came right back. Because I was shocked when she came back. I thought she had a serious injury. And then here she is. So why did we go through this whole stupid charade? The only positive I'm seeing of this is that we can see Shayna Baszler go back to form. When Paul Heyman was running Raw, and she had that dominant performance in the Elimination Chamber. And then who came and killed it? Vince. So I am hoping that Vince is like, well, I'm going to change a few things, but you know what? She's your pet project. Do what you want to do with Shayna. And I will say, Ronda has been taking quite a few pinfalls, so kudos to her. But I just, first of all, the match sucked. And I thought it was sort of stupid already to have Shayna turn on her. I mean, I'm sure the reason's going to be because she doesn't take orders and she's gotten soft. I don't know. There's going to be something. I don't know. And the other thing to me is that the luster of Ronda has left. When Ronda first got there, yes, everybody liked her. When she first got there, she was a badass. And now, I don't know, something has turned that, to me, the fans don't either like her or just don't care about Ronda anymore. I don't know if it's because of some of the chirping she did online, where she's trying to sound like, this seasoned veteran of the wrestling ring, and she's not. I don't know. But to me, I don't think fans care. And I think in this instance, Baszler needs to be the babyface and Ronda needs to stay the heel. Because Ronda being the babyface in this situation, it's just not going to work. Because I think the fans are tired of her. And I don't think, and while I say kudos to Ronda for being around much more and just not being in the top program for the women's titles, I don't think she brings any value anymore. I think it's done. I think the Ronda experiment is done. I'm sorry. Just move on. Just when the contract is up, that's it. I just think that's it for her. But that was that with that match. I thought it sucked. I thought it was stupid, but it is what it was. Gunther versus Riddle. I somewhat fast-forwarded through this match because they're not taking the title off of Gunther anytime soon. Yes, we saw the return of Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre looked like he lost a little size. I don't know. It could have just been me, but maybe when we see him again without his shirt on, maybe. But I just looked at a tank top. His shoulders, he just looked like he had lost some mass. But doesn't matter. It's a shame. I think what they've done with Matt Riddle. I mean, the kind of background that he has. I think he should be taken more seriously. And see, same thing. Riddle loses a lot. Riddle doesn't win as much as you think he does. He loses a lot. But I still think at some point, he will win a Royal Rumble or he'll win a Money in the Bank and he will be champion. I do think he'll be champion at some point. But look at him. He wins quite a lot. And then here's something else that bothered me. Riddle comes out to help Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. But they don't come out to help him when he's being attacked and they injure his ankle. So that's sort of shit that irked me too. But either way, I did like the ending of the match. You didn't pin Riddle. You focused on the ankle, you focused on the injury, and then you put it in that submission. He sold it great. So I thought the ending was very good. The match itself I thought wasn't bad. I thought it was okay. But I thought the ending was good. I don't know where Riddle goes from here. I really think they're trying to wait for Randy to come back. Will they reunite RK Bro? I'm sure they will, but it'll be short-lived because Randy's going to turn on him. And hopefully that maybe can return, maybe Riddle to some seriousness because I don't like how they treat Riddle. But will Drew be the one to dethrone Gunther maybe, I don't know. The plan is to get Gunther and Brock Lesnar in the ring together, but Gunther, I think, needs some more establishment, and I think he needs to be considered more of a threat. And I think he needs to bulldoze through some more people before we can legitimately say, okay, this is the guy who can knock off Brock Lesnar. So, the Cody Rhodes versus Dominic match. I mean, the only thing I'm going to say is that I'm just surprised that Brock didn't come out and do something. I honestly thought Dominic was going to win this match because I thought Brock was going to come in and attack Cody. That didn't happen. So, there's that. I did not watch the women's Money in the Bank. I did fast forward through it. My two picks was Zelina Vega and Io Sky. I like Io Sky. I would have preferred Zelina Vega to win. I really thought she deserved it a little bit more than Io Sky, but it is what it is. You knew Becky wasn't winning, especially when you had Trish and Zoe Stark in a match. There was no way that they were winning because they're not done with that storyline just yet. Like I said, I'm wondering if at SummerSlam we're going to see Lita and Becky versus versus Trish and Zoe Starks. But I'm not mad that Io won. I like Io. I think she's very talented. And listen, I think she's going to cash in against Asuka. And I will say her and Asuka, if allowed, will have a phenomenal match. Because I watched Io in NXT, and I loved watching her in NXT. She was great. And that's all I'm saying. If they are not given any constraints, they're going to have a great match. So hopefully she cashes in against Asuka. The Seth Rollins-Finn Balor match, I'm sorry, was very lackluster. I really expected more. I thought the ending was very flat. That's all I can really say. Part of me did think that they would let Finn win, and then Damien would cash in against Finn and officially end the Judgment Day there. I thought there was a slim chance they would let that happen. Maybe that was too predictable. I mean, I thought it was predictable of Seth winning, but this was the route that they decided to go. Like I said, it was pretty lackluster, and we are clearly building to the end of the Judgment Day. Do I think Finn and Seth are done? I can see them doing another match at SummerSlam, and maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe it will be Finn versus Seth again, and then Finn can win like he did the last time, so to have history repeat itself, but then it get taken away yet again. They could go that route. We shall see. And then I think the biggest surprise, the Usos, the Civil War, the Usos versus Roman and Solo. Tell me, who saw that shit coming? I damn sure didn't. I thought if the Usos won, it was Solo who was going to take the pinfall, not Roman. The match was great. The story of it was great. I'm split because I don't know. It did make sense for the Usos to win because if they had lost, how do you go forward? We always talk about how WWE really knows how to kill the momentum of something. And that would have killed the momentum of the Usos. I don't know if this is going to lead to them getting the tag team titles back. But I mean, obviously not now, maybe like at some point down the road. But it would have killed the momentum. Now, I'll admit, I don't know where the Usos go from here. I have no idea where the storyline is going to go. But I think they had to win. I think that was the best call because if they lost, how do you get them back in the ring again with Roman and Solo? How do you do that? Now, if they lost, yeah, you could have did SummerSlam versus Jimmy, and then the next event, Jay versus Roman defend the titles. But then if he beats them both, where do they go after that? I mean, is that the next step? Could they do that anyway? Could it now be, okay, Jimmy gets the title shot against Roman at SummerSlam, but then Jimmy loses? Are we killing some momentum here? What are we doing? Are we now going to work on getting Solo in with the Usos? Like, it's kind of hard to tell where things are going to go. I mean, obviously they know. But I'm going to say this. There's two things. One, Roman getting pinned, that does not happen unless Roman says yes. Okay? In that scenario. And there's no doubt to me that Roman said, yeah, this is family. I'm going to take the pinfall. It's family. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. Let it be within family that breaks that streak of me being pinned since 2019. No doubt about it. The downside, it takes the luster away when somebody beats him for the title. It just takes it away a little slightly. Just like I said, now they introduced the world title that Seth is currently holding, it takes away that momentum, that luster, that special feeling of somebody beating Roman Reigns. And now I think you've taken what little magic would have been there, I think you've taken it away now with him being pinned at a Money in the Bank event in a tag team match. You've taken it away. So I think in a way they are slowly chopping away the magnitude of Roman losing his title. Could that be because they introduced this new title and they want this other title to be the workhorse title and give some importance to it? Maybe. But to me, they are slowly taking away the relevancy and the meaning of that one person who will take this championship off of Roman Reigns. I think that's what they're doing. Because maybe now they feel it's not going to be Cody. Cody can take the world title. Maybe Damien will cash it. I still don't think he is. Maybe that's why they're doing it, because it's going to be so random that it's Damien who does it. I don't know. I still don't think it's going to be. I'm just throwing out different, ideas out there. But who saw that shit coming? Who saw it? I'm waiting for Solo to come in and break up the pin. And it was Jay who got the pinfall. And that crowd erupted, man. So where the story is going for the bloodline, I have no idea. Will Roman walk alone for? And you know what? And it's sort of good too, because you had the family. They had all the titles. They lost the titles. Now you've pushed out the Usos. Now you're gonna, you lost, you lost Jimmy. Then you lost Jay. Well, you now lose Solo. And now, what's left for you to lose now? The championship. So, perhaps that reign is coming to an end. I still think the plan is for him to stay champion until WrestleMania, and somehow, I still think Cody is pegged as the one. I think he just has to go through Brock. I still think Cody is the one who's going to do this, and I think somehow they're going to get Cody and Roman at WrestleMania, and I think that's where Cody will win it. Because like I said, Cody not winning the big one, his return is a waste. So I still think they're going to go that route. But they've taken a lot of the magic out of it already. And they can use this, like what Cody said. What did I say? Maybe it didn't happen the exact way, but look, you've lost your bloodline. First it was Jimmy, then it was Jay. Now you lost Solo. The one thing left for your demise is for me to take that title. Now, as far as I know, like I said before, I don't know if there's any more family members of Roman's wrestling anywhere that Roman can rebuild the bloodline and beat Bloodline 2.0. I don't know. But it's been a hell of a storyline, hell of a long-term storyline. And see, and WWE doesn't have to just do this with just, a certain group. They could do this long-term with other guys. You could have more than one long-term storyline. But it's kept us captivated since 2019. They have kept us captivated with Roman. They have. And kudos to the Usos. I remember reading this several years back that the plan was to elevate Jay and to elevate Jimmy when he got back from injury. Because remember, it was just Jay and Roman in the beginning because Jimmy hurt his knee at the WrestleMania. I call it the COVID WrestleMania. He hurt himself. And then it was just Jay. But the point was to build these guys up, make them the greatest tag team. And come on. Watching them, I almost had tears in my eyes. And let me tell you something. I don't cry. Okay? I've always told my friends, like, when certain stars die, like, when Kobe Bryant passed away, my friend was really upset. He was crying all this. I'm like, okay, it's sad that he passed away, but I'm not crying. I love Michael Jackson. I love his music. Yes, despite all the shit that I know that's out there about Michael, I know. But Michael the artist, Michael that talent, I mean, I still get goosebumps. Okay? I'm 36 years old. I still get goosebumps watching Michael. If I go to YouTube, sometimes I'm like, just let me hear Thriller, or let me hear Beat It, whatever. I still get chills and goosebumps watching him perform because he was that good. But I didn't boo-hoo when he died. I was sad. I was sorry he passed, but I didn't boo-hoo. Because I can't cry for you if I don't know you. Like, if I know you and, like, you had a great loss and now you're, like, in front of me crying, yeah, I'll get teary-eyed because while I didn't know the person that you know who passed away, I know you, and I'm upset that you're upset, and then I'll get emotional with you. But watching the Usos in the ring, I got a little teary-eyed because I remember when they first came, was it 2013, 2014, when they first showed up with the face paint and everything. I'm like, how far are these guys really going to go? Because at that time, Vince didn't seem keen on the next generation, meaning, you had Cody, you had Ted DiBiase, you had, Davey Boy Smith, who was the Bulldog's son. You had you had Curtis Axel, who was the son of Mr. Perfect. You had all these guys who were now, you had all the sons of these top guys. The $1 Million Man, Mr. Perfect, British Bulldog, Neidhart, all this stuff. You had these generations. You had Tamina, you had Neidhart, you had all of them, but you did shit with them. You just kept sticking with what you knew, and you didn't want to, like, give these younger guys an opportunity. And then, look, they're all gone. Ted DiBiase Jr., his ass might be going to jail. You had Ted DiBiase Jr., Cody Rhodes ended up leaving. Yes, now he's back. Where the hell is Curtis Axel now? Look at Bray Wyatt. Look what happened with Bo Dallas. They were part of IRS. Okay, Jimmy Smith. I mean, really think about it. With the exception of Randy Orton, trying to think of some other people. With the exception of Randy Orton, name me another, whether it was second, third, fourth generation, name me another son or daughter, excluding Charlotte Flair, of somebody who was popular in the 80s and the 90s, who was the child of one of those superstars, and tell me where they are and where they have managed to be in the company. There's not a lot. So when I saw the Usos, I'm like, they're going to end up just like them. Carlito was the son of a popular wrestler, someone who has some stature. So I'm like, okay, these are the sons of Rikishi. They're not going to do anything with them. But look at what they have become. Going from the face paint, remember they're a little more huskier, like they got much better shape. I mean, look. How could you not have tears and be happy for them? To me, that was like the pinnacle of their moment. And that's why I got a little bit emotional about it, because I'm like, I remember these guys, I just remember thinking, they're not going to make it. They're not going to bounce it because Vince just doesn't seem to have faith in the sons of the previous legends. Just doesn't have it. And watching them clasp their hands together, put the number one, and just listening to the crowd go fucking nuts. I'm like, they truly are the greatest tag team. And I know you're going to throw out Demolition, LOD, and all that stuff. I am sorry. The Usos have surpassed all of the tag teams. They are number one. And they are going to be the ones that future tag teams are going to have to try to surpass their accomplishments. No tag team, to me, has gotten the respect and that sort of following and cheering as I saw last night with those two. I dare say they hitting the level of getting a pop to when anytime you heard that glass breaking and Stone Cold was coming up. Because to this day, that crowd, when they hear that glass break, they erupt like motherfuckers just like they did back in the 90s when Steve Austin was around. And you may disagree with me, and you could, and sure as hell can. But to me, the Usos, they're at the top of the mountain in the tag team right now. They were working to make these guys stars, and they damn sure did. A little bit, thanks to Vince, because Vince was still there during the bloodline, to Triple H, to Bruce Pritchard, to Paul Heyman, to Roman. It was a team effort. They all set out to make those two gigantic stars. And here's the one thing that I just want to say before I end with this, because this is quite a long video and I apologize. The one thing I want to say about this: the New Day is proof that not every single tag team needs to break up. And my one fear what they're going to do with the Usos is break them up and pit them against each other for a little bit. And that is not necessary. Unless you can give us a compelling reason for it, that's not necessary to happen. And it's not. Unless they say, listen, for a little bit, let's go our separate ways. I'm going to go get that United States title because Jay had a shot at it. I'm going to go get that United States Championship. You go get the Intercontinental Championship. And that's it. Or I'm going to go get the world title. You go take the title off of Roman, and then we'll meet back here. That is the only way I want to see those two separate. They do not need to split. If anything, they can take some time off, but I know you want to capitalize on the momentum they have right now. And like I said, I'm not quite sure where it's going to go. But you do not have to break up the Usos. The Usos can stay a united team. Because look what they tried to do when they tried to break up the Dudleys. Devon, forget it. Bubba had one title shot against Triple H. It was a fairly decent match. And then that was it. And then they ended up putting them back together. They tried to break up, they broke up the Hardys. Didn't work out for either one until much later. And even then, Hardy was given a consolation prize of the EC Championship, which meant nothing. Jeff had more of the success. But let me tell you, it was a rocky road for Jeff to get there. You broke up Edge and Christian. Only Edge had the most success out of that. And the reason why I don't want to see them break up is because of what they built together. You hate to see it now. Oh, well, we really see Jimmy's to Marty Jannetty and Jay's to Shawn Michaels. Or we're really seeing that Jimmy is to Shawn Michaels and really is Jay. I don't want to see that happen with the two of them. They are both on equal footing. Does it hurt for them to have singles matches? No. But you do not need to break them up. And like I said, the New Day is a great example of that. You can have somebody be the WWE champion and not break the group up. They did it twice. And that's where I'm going to leave it. The Money in the Bank event was okay, but it had a great ending. An okay beginning and a great ending. A shock ending, because nobody expected that to happen. Where does Roman go from here? Who knows? But I would say we're getting close to Roman losing the title, because I think it's going in that lane of you lost your cousins, you lost Solo. That's the last thing for you to lose. So I think it's okay if they have Roman go a couple of months solo. I don't think Roman's dropping the title this year. I'll be very surprised. I truly think he's going to drop the title this time at WrestleMania, because if it's going to go the way it's making us think it's going to go, there's no reason to keep Roman a champion past next year's WrestleMania. Because now you can make the last 6 months of this year, or the last 5 months of this year, or maybe the next 8 months of, I am Roman Reigns, I am the greatest champion, I'm in God mode, I'm the needle mover, I'm the tribal chief. I can do this by myself. I built the bloodline, I destroy the bloodline, I don't need them, I'm the champion. I've proven time and time again that I can keep my titles without them, and it could be a campaign of him winning the matches without the help, and then finally he loses it. There was a period where he was going to stack up the Usos and pin them. I really thought the match was going to end that way, and I'm glad it didn't, because that really would have been a momentum killer, the way that they were pinned. But again, it was a shock ending, a very good ending, and that's the kind of stuff that brings you back to find out what is going to happen. What is going to happen with the bloodline now? Where does Solo fit? And we'll see. So this was a long one. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with it. Let me know your thoughts. And I will be back with another episode very soon. I know I've been talking about doing this episode with Goldberg. I'm going to do it. I got very nervous that Goldberg was going to appear at Forbidden Door, but he didn't. And I do have some thoughts on Goldberg. And Ryback. So I'll get to that. Enjoy the rest of your 4th of July holiday.